Captain Paperclip Stowe sat in the command chair of the Earthship Celestial Venture, a well-worn datapad balanced precariously in his hands. He wasn't entirely sure what annoyed him more, the absurdity of the Galactic Council's latest request, or the way the ship's AI, Nova, kept snickering in her synthesized tone as she read the invite aloud for the 5th time. The Galactic Council cordially invites humanity to participate in the intergalactic Harmless Creature Showcase, Nova said, barely hiding her amusement. Please select a creature that exemplifies your species' gentlest and most docile characteristics. Paperclip groaned. You hear that, folks? Gentlest and most docile. They think we're fragile. Again. Across the room, Dr. Linus Harlow, a wiry man with perpetually wind-blown hair and a passion for proving the galaxy wrong, leaned forward with a grin. Let me guess. You're wondering how to show them they're dead wrong about humanity. Paperclip waved the datapad in exasperation. No, I'm wondering how we got stuck babysitting a science fair for alien pets. What do they expect us to bring? A goldfish? Dr. Harlow's grin widened. Nope. I've got the perfect candidate. Stinger. Sergeant Alma Crow, leaning against the far wall, arched an eyebrow. The honey badger? You want to bring that tiny terror to a diplomatic event? Exactly, Harlow said, practically bouncing in his seat. It's small, unassuming, and embodies everything Earth stands for: resilience, adaptability, and a complete lack of fear. Paperclip stared at him. It also bites everything that moves, tears through steel-reinforced cages, and once took out half your lab's experimental equipment in one afternoon. Are we really calling that harmless? Relatively harmless, Harlow amended. It's perfect. The Council wants to see what Earth is made of, and nothing says don't mess with us like a honey badger. Sergeant Crow snorted. This is either the best idea you've ever had, or it's going to end in galactic war. Either way, I'm in. Paperclip sighed, rubbing his temples. Fine, bring the badger, but if it mauls a galactic ambassador, I'm sending you the repair bill for humanity's reputation. The Celestial Venture touched down on Zarnith 7, the neutral planet hosting the intergalactic Harmless Creature Showcase. The landing pad was a marvel of alien engineering, its translucent surface shimmering like liquid glass. Delegates from across the galaxy bustled around the biodome, each species accompanied by their chosen, harmless animal. The Osirians, a jellyfish-like species with glowing tentacles, floated serenely beside their bioluminescent gliders. The Clivorn delegation presented their herbivorous grazers, delicate creatures with spiraling horns that emitted soothing vibrations. Even the warlike Melkar species brought a pair of elegant feline predators, their sleek bodies gliding gracefully through the crowd. When humanity arrived with Stinger, a honey badger in a secure containment crate, it was clear they'd stolen the show. Commander Rylix Zarn, a towering reptilian alien with emerald scales and an air of smug superiority, approached with a group of alien delegates in tow. His golden eyes gleamed as he inspected the crate. Captain Stowe, Rylix said, his voice dripping with condescension, is this your contribution? One small, furry creature. Paperclip smiled thinly. Meet Stinger. Don't let the size fool you. Rylix chuckled, his tail flicking in amusement. Surely this is a joke. Such a diminutive animal could hardly represent a Deathworld species like humanity. Harlow leaned in with a grin. I'd hold off on the jokes until you see what he can do. Rylix's scales rippled in a pattern of dismissal. I look forward to it. As the group moved on, Sergeant Crow smirked. He's in for a rude awakening. Inside the biodome, a vast arena had been divided into enclosures designed to mimic various planetary environments. Alien creatures moved gracefully through their habitats, eliciting awed murmurs from the crowd. When it was Stinger's turn, the honey badger's enclosure was revealed to be a simple obstacle course with simulated hazards. Paperclip, Harlow, and Crow watched from the observation deck as Stinger was released from his crate. The audience leaned forward in curiosity. What could such a small, unassuming creature possibly do? The first test, a mechanical predator resembling a sleek feline hunter, emerged from a concealed panel. Its glowing red eyes and sharp claws would have intimidated most creatures. Stinger didn't hesitate. With a snarl, he launched himself at the machine, his powerful claws tearing into its joints. Sparks flew as the predator collapsed, its circuits destroyed in seconds. Gasps rippled through the crowd. "That was unexpected," Rylix muttered, his earlier smugness wavering. The next challenge, a series of traps designed to immobilize the creature, proved equally futile. Stinger dug beneath barriers, chewed through restraints, and barreled through every obstacle with relentless determination. By the time the final test began, the crowd was abuzz with murmurs, but nothing could have prepared them for what came next. As the final challenge was being prepared, alarms blared throughout the biodome. A large alien predator, a hulking beast with razor-sharp mandibles and glowing red eyes, had escaped its containment field. The creature charged towards Stinger's enclosure, its massive body shaking the ground with every step. The audience froze in terror. But Stinger didn't back down. With a guttural growl, he launched himself at the predator, dodging its snapping jaws and clamping down on its vulnerable underbelly. The larger creature thrashed and roared, but Stinger's claws tore through its thick hide with ease. Moments later, the predator limped away, defeated, while Stinger let out a triumphant snarl. The biodome fell silent. Then the applause began, a slow, uncertain ripple that grew into a thunderous roar. Paperclip leaned back, arms crossed. "Well," he said, "I think they're starting to get the picture." Harlow grinned. "Told you he'd steal the show." The aftermath of Stinger's performance had left the crowd buzzing with disbelief and awe. Delegates from across the galaxy whispered among themselves, glancing nervously at the honey badger, who now sat calmly in his enclosure, gnawing on a piece of reinforced wiring as if nothing had happened. Veltranix Pixis, a crystalline alien with a body refracting soft pink and blue hues, shimmered as they approached Captain Paperclip Stowe. "Captain," Pixis said, their chiming voice tinged with reverence, "this creature, it is extraordinary. It destroyed a predator twice its size. Is this normal for Earth animals?" Paperclip smiled faintly. "Well, Stinger's a bit of an overachiever, but let's just say resilience is kind of a theme back home." Commander Rylix Zahn hovered nearby, his emerald scales rippling in a subtle pattern of irritation. "It was impressive," he admitted grudgingly, "but surely you don't expect us to believe that such ferocity is common on your world. This honey badger is an anomaly." Dr. Harlow leaned in with a grin. "Oh, honey badgers are just the beginning. You should see what happens when you provoke a wolverine or corner a hippo." Rylix's eyes narrowed. "A hippo? Big, round herbivore," Harlow explained. "Looks cute and slow, but it'll take down anything that gets too close, including alien warships if you're not careful." Rylix hissed softly, clearly struggling to decide whether the humans were joking. As the showcase continued, the honey badger became the center of attention. Alien zoologists crowded around its enclosure, bombarding the human delegation with questions. Veltranix Pixis hovered nearby, quietly taking notes as Dr. Harlow explained Earth's unique ecosystem. "You see," Harlow said, gesturing toward Stinger, "Earth is a death world. That means our animals evolved under constant pressure to survive against predators, extreme weather, and even each other. Honey badgers, they're fearless because they have to be. Zerna Quarix, a feline-like alien with sleek black fur and golden eyes, raised a paw. But what about larger predators? Surely even this creature has limits." "Stinger doesn't know what a limit is," Harlow replied. "He once fought off a lion, survived a snake bite, and then raided a beehive for dessert, all in the same afternoon." The alien delegates exchanged uneasy glances. By the end of the day, Stinger's reputation had spread across the biodome. Hollow screens replayed clips of his exploits on a loop, and alien media outlets dubbed him the steel-clawed terror of Earth. But not everyone was amused. Commander Rylix convened a private meeting with several delegates who shared his concerns. "This is a problem," Rylix said, his golden eyes narrowing. "The humans are using this creature to intimidate us. They want us to believe that all of Earth's species are like this." Veltranix Pixis, who had reluctantly joined the meeting, flickered faintly in exasperation. "Perhaps they are," they said. "Earth is a death world, after all. It stands to reason that its inhabitants, animal and human alike, would be uniquely resilient." "Nonsense," Rylix snapped. "This is a carefully orchestrated display to inflate humanity's importance. I say we demand a formal investigation into their claims." The room erupted into murmurs of agreement and dissent, but Pixis remained silent, their refractive body glimmering faintly as they contemplated the implications. Back in the human delegation's quarters, Captain Stowe, Dr. Harlow, and Sergeant Crow watched the day's events unfold on a hollow screen. "Well," Crow said, sipping from a steaming cup of coffee, "I think it's safe to say we've made an impression." Stowe chuckled. "That's putting it mildly. Half the galaxy is terrified of us now, and the other half thinks we're hiding an army of indestructible badgers." Harlow grinned. "Let them wonder. The more they underestimate us, the better." Just then, Nova, the ship's AI, chimed in. "Captain, I've intercepted some interesting communications from the Council. It seems certain delegates are concerned about the honey badger's origins. There's talk of banning Earth animals from future showcases." Crow raised an eyebrow. "Afraid of a little competition?" "Or a little chaos," Stowe said, smirking. The next morning, the human delegation arrived at the biodome to find Stinger's enclosure surrounded by curious spectators. Veltranix Pixis was among them, their crystalline body flickering with nervous excitement. "Captain Stowe," Pixis began, "I was hoping to speak with you." Off the record. Stowe gestured for them to follow, and the two stepped aside into a quieter corner of the biodome. "This honey badger," Pixis said, their voice low, "has caused quite a stir. Some delegates are concerned about what it represents, but others are fascinated. They want to know more about Earth and its creatures. I believe this could be an opportunity for humanity to redefine itself in the eyes of the galaxy." Stowe's expression softened. "You're saying we've got their attention. Now we just need to show them who we really are." Pixis nodded. "Precisely." As they spoke, Stinger let out a low growl from his enclosure, drawing the attention of a nearby childlike alien who giggled and waved. "Well," Stowe said with a grin, "if Stinger's the ambassador, I'd say we're off to a good start." The honey badger's feats had become the talk of the galaxy. Stinger's daring victory against the escaped predator was replayed on galactic news networks, analyzed by experts, and memed across interstellar social platforms. Alien children mimicked his ferocious growls, and budding scientists wrote dissertations about his evolutionary marvels. Inside the celestial venture, Captain Paperclip Stowe watched yet another broadcast while sipping his morning coffee. Stinger, lounging lazily in his reinforced enclosure, gnawed contentedly on a titanium chew toy. Sergeant Crow entered the room with a smirk. "You see the latest headlines? They're calling him the Deathworlder Fury." Stowe chuckled, gesturing at the screen. "Yeah, I think the whole galaxy knows who Stinger is by now. Probably thinks Earth is full of these little terrors." "Are we correcting that assumption?" Crow asked. "Not a chance," Stowe replied, grinning. Meanwhile, at the Galactic Council's headquarters on Zarnith 7, a crisis meeting was underway. Commander Rylix Zahn paced furiously in a circular chamber, his emerald scales gleaming under the flickering holographic lights. Around him, representatives from several species murmured nervously. "We cannot allow this spectacle to continue unchecked," Rylix hissed. "This honey badger has upset the delicate balance of interstellar diplomacy. The humans are exploiting this creature to project an image of dominance." Veltranix Pixis, seated calmly on their crystalline hover disk, chimed in. "Commander, perhaps you're overreacting. The honey badger's actions reflect its unique nature, not a calculated strategy by humanity." Rylix slammed his clawed hand on the table. "Unique nature or not, the message is clear. Earth is dangerous. We need to act before the galaxy begins to fear humanity as a whole." From across the room, Zerna Quarix, the feline-like delegate, flicked her tail in annoyance. And what would you suggest? Banning Earth's creatures from future events? Declaring them a threat? Rylix glared at her. If necessary, yes. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of voices. Pixis refracted light in a soft pink hue, signaling their frustration. Perhaps, they said, their voice cutting through the noise, we should consider learning from this, instead of fearing it. The honey badger has shown us that resilience and determination come in many forms. Earth's creatures may hold lessons for all of us. Rylix scoffed. Lessons in chaos, perhaps. Back at the biodome, a group of alien zoologists gathered around Stinger's enclosure, eagerly taking notes and sketching diagrams. Dr. Harlow stood among them, explaining Earth's evolutionary pressures with the enthusiasm of a man who had waited his whole life for this moment. Earth's environment is unforgiving, he said. Predators, harsh climates, and limited resources have shaped our animals into survivors. The honey badger is a prime example. It doesn't just survive, it thrives under pressure. One of the zoologists, a gelatinous Osirian with a faint blue glow, rippled with intrigue. And this behavior, it is common among Earth's creatures? Harlow grinned. Oh, absolutely. Ever hear of an octopus? Or a wolverine? Stinger's just one star in a whole galaxy of remarkable animals. Nearby, Sergeant Crow observed the scene with amusement. Think they'll be ready for crocodiles next. As the day progressed, the honey badger's fame reached new heights. Veltranix Pixis approached Captain Stowe with a proposal. Captain, they began, their refractive body shimmering faintly. It seems the galaxy's fascination with Earth's creatures isn't going to fade anytime soon. Several delegations have expressed interest in visiting your planet to learn more about your wildlife. Stowe raised an eyebrow. So, they're not terrified anymore? Oh, they're still terrified, Pixis replied, their tone light. But curiosity has a way of overpowering fear. The two watched as Stinger, unfazed by the attention, clawed his way through a fresh log, his strength and determination as mesmerizing as ever. Not everyone was as accepting of Stinger's rise to fame. Back at the council chambers, Rylix and his allies drafted a formal complaint, demanding stricter regulations on Earth's involvement in galactic events. This honey badger is not harmless, Rylix declared, his voice sharp and commanding. It represents a danger to the galaxy's perception of peace and cooperation. Veltranix Pixis, standing nearby, refracted light in soft greens and blues, signaling their disagreement. Or perhaps, they countered, it represents an opportunity to broaden our understanding of resilience and adaptability. The room fell silent as delegates weighed the two arguments. Rylix's claws tapped impatiently on the table, his irritation evident. This is not over, he hissed, storming out of the chamber. Back at the biodome, Captain Stowe and his team prepared to return to the celestial venture. As they packed their equipment, a small group of alien children approached Stinger's enclosure, their wide eyes filled with awe. Is it true? One of them asked, their voice high and melodic. Is he really the bravest animal on Earth? Sergeant Crow crouched down to their level, smiling. Bravest? Maybe. Fiercest? Definitely. The children giggled as Stinger let out a low growl, his tiny frame exuding an air of unshakable confidence. As the humans boarded their ship, Veltranix Pixis watched from a distance, their crystalline body flickering faintly. Humans, they murmured. You may be the most unpredictable species we've ever encountered, but perhaps that's exactly what the galaxy needs. Captain Paperclip Stowe stood on the bridge of the celestial venture, sipping his coffee as Zarnith 7 faded into the void of space. The mission had been chaotic, unpredictable, and exhausting. In other words, exactly what he should have expected. Nova, the ship's AI, projected her holographic form beside him. Captain, you should see the latest galactic broadcasts. Stinger's performance has officially gone viral. He's being hailed as a symbol of Deathworld resilience. Stowe smirked. Deathworld resilience, huh? Sounds like we're getting a reputation. Nova's holographic eyes flickered in amusement. I'd say so. Several galactic news outlets are now speculating about Earth's other creatures. One even suggested you might secretly train animals for combat. Stowe shook his head. Great. Now they think we're breeding an army of attack honey badgers. Just what we needed. Back on Zarnith 7, the Galactic Council found itself divided. Commander Rylix Zarn, still fuming over the honey badger's impact, launched a full-scale campaign to limit Earth's influence. This spectacle has gone far enough, he declared during a heated council meeting. Humanity has manipulated this event to spread fear and chaos. We cannot allow their Deathworld creatures to dominate our cultural exchanges. Veltranix Pixis, shimmering with calm hues of blue and violet, responded coolly. Commander, humanity did not manipulate anything. The honey badger simply demonstrated its natural abilities. If anything, this event has shown us that we still have much to learn about Earth and its remarkable resilience. Rylix's tail lashed angrily. Resilience or not, these creatures pose a threat to our perception of galactic peace. If the Council does not act, the consequences will be on your heads. Zerna Quarix, the feline-like delegate, flicked her ears in irritation. Honestly, Rylix, you sound like a scared pup. It's a honey badger, not a galactic superweapon. The chamber erupted into murmurs and laughter, and Rylix stormed out, his scales rippling with frustration. On the celestial venture, Stowe, Dr. Harlow, and Sergeant Crow gathered in the observation deck, watching the council proceedings through a hollow feed. You think they'll actually ban us from future events? Crow asked, leaning back in her chair. Stowe shrugged. They might try, but good luck enforcing it. The galaxy's already obsessed with Stinger. Even if they shut us out, they'll still be talking about him for years. Harlow grinned. And let's be honest, the Council's problem isn't the honey badger. It's the fact that they underestimated humanity and didn't like what they saw. Stowe raised his mug. To Earth, a Deathworld that just won the galaxy's strangest diplomatic showdown with a pint-sized ball of fury. Crow clinked her water bottle against his mug. Cheers to that. Weeks later, the galactic response to Stinger's showcase had reached fever pitch. Alien species from across the stars submitted requests to visit Earth, eager to study its creatures firsthand. Scientists debated the implications of Earth's evolutionary pressures, and cultural historians speculated on what humanity's unique perspective might bring to the galactic stage. Even the Galactic Council, despite Rylix's protests, began drafting new policies to include Earth's wildlife in official studies. Veltranix Pixis took the lead on one such initiative, delivering a passionate address to the Council. Humanity's contribution to this event has reminded us of the importance of adaptability and resilience. Their honey badger has shown us that strength comes in many forms, and that even the smallest creatures can inspire greatness. Let us not fear Earth's uniqueness, but embrace it. The chamber erupted into applause, and even Rylix, watching from the sidelines, couldn't suppress a grudging nod. Back on Earth, the celestial venture returned to a hero's welcome. Crowds gathered at the landing pad, cheering as Stinger's enclosure was carefully unloaded. Journalists swarmed the crew, firing off questions about Earth's wildlife and the galaxy's newfound fascination with humanity. Stowe, ever the diplomat, gave a brief statement. Stinger might be a honey badger, but he represents something bigger. Humanity isn't about brute strength or size. We're about determination, adaptability, and a refusal to give up, no matter the odds. If that's what the galaxy's learning from us, I'd say we're off to a good start. The crowd roared with approval as Stinger, oblivious to the chaos around him, gnawed happily on a titanium chew toy. Weeks later, Stinger's fame continued to grow. Holographic billboards across the galaxy displayed his image, and alien children dressed as honey badgers for cultural festivals. Humanity's reputation shifted from fragile newcomers to resilient survivors, and Earth became a sought-after destination for scientists and diplomats alike. In a quiet moment aboard the celestial venture, Stowe reflected on the whirlwind of events. You know, he said to Nova, I never thought a honey badger would be humanity's ambassador to the stars. Nova's holographic form flickered with amusement. It's fitting, don't you think? After all, Nothing says don't mess with Earth quite like a creature that takes on lions for fun. Stowe chuckled. Fair point. Here's to Stinger, the galaxy's smallest, angriest diplomat. As the ship sailed through the stars, the honey badger dozed contentedly in his enclosure, unaware of the legacy he had left behind.